Guys, welcome back to our YouTube channel Ivory Dentistry. So today the video is of cellular adaptations part 2. So let's get started. So as we all know, there are 5 common forms of cellular adaptive responses. Those are atrophy, hypertrophy, hyperplasia, metaplasia and dysplasia. So today in this video, let's talk about metaplasia and dysplasia. Metaplasia is the reversible change of one type of adult epithelial or mesenchymal cells to another type, and this is because of abnormal stimulus. So when the stimulus is removed, it reverts back. If the stimulus persists for a long time, the epithelial metaplasia progresses into dysplasia and then into cancer, that means carcinoma in situ. So, this is the microscopic appearance of normal endocervical epithelium, which gets transformed into squamous metaplasia, then into dysplasia and then into cancer, that is carcinoma in situ. Broadly divided into two types, epithelial metaplasia and mesenchymal metaplasia. So epithelial metaplasia, this is more common and the metaplastic change may be patchy or diffuse, resulting in the replacement by the stronger and less well specialized epithelium. So the epithelium results in lack of protective mucus secretions, so it is more prone to infections. Depending upon the type of transformed epithelium, it is of two types, squamous metaplasia and columnar metaplasia. Squamous metaplasia, this is more common, and the various types of epithelia are capable of undergoing this due to the chronic irritation, that is long time the irritation will be persist and initiated by the mechanical, chemical and infective causes. Examples are in bronchus of chronic smokers, in uterine endocervix of old age people where there is prolapse of uterus leading to metaplasia. In gallbladder, this is seen in chronic cholecystis. Chronic cholecystis is the inflammation of gallbladder for the long time with cholelithiasis. Cholelithiasis is the formation of stones in the gallbladder. In prostate, in chronic prostatitis, that is inflammation of prostate and estrogen therapy. In renal, pelvis and urinary bladder, there will be chronic infection and stones. In vitamin A deficiency except xerophthalmia, in remaining all, metaplasia is seen in nose, bronchi, urinary tract, lacrimal and salivary glands. So this is the micro appearance of endouterine cervix, in which it is normally lined by columnar epithelium, and in some places we can see squamous metaplasia. Next, columnar metaplasia. So the examples are intestinal metaplasia in healed chronic gastric ulcer, and in Barrett's esophagus. Barrett's esophagus, the esophagus which is exposed repeatedly to the stomach acid. This is seen in patients with gastric esophagus reflux disease. So in this, the squamous epithelia changes to columnar epithelia. Transformation of pseudostratified ciliated epithelium in chronic bronchitis and bronchiectasis to columnar type. And in cervical erosion, there is endocervical glandular mucosa which everts into vagina. This is the micro appearance of Barrett's esophagus, which is normally lined by squamous epithelium, but the metaplastic change occurs and the columnar metaplasia takes place. So mesenchymal metaplasia, very less often the transformation is seen. It is of two types, osseous metaplasia and cartilaginous metaplasia. Osseous metaplasia, there is formation of bone in the fibrous tissue, cartilage and myxoid tissue. So the examples are in atrial wall of old age people, in soft tissue in myositis ossificans, in the cartilage of larynx and bronchi of elder people, in scar of chronic inflammation of prolonged duration, in fibrous stroma of tumor, example leiomyoma. Leiomyoma is the smooth muscle tumor. So it rarely becomes into cancer, but this is mostly seen in uterus, esophagus, etc. Cartilaginous metaplasia, it occurs in fracture healing where undue mobility is seen and it occurs very rarely. Next, dysplasia or atypical hyperplasia. This is disordered cellular development often preceded or accompanied with metaplasia and hyperplasia. So the atypical cytologic changes occurs. So it is called as atypical hyperplasia. So the changes occurs in the squamous epithelium and or progressive. Common examples are uterine cervix, respiratory tract. So the dysplastic changes occurs due to chronic irritation or prolonged inflammation. So when the stimulus is removed, the changes disappears. And the dysplasia progresses into carcinoma in situ or invasive cancer. Invasive cancer means the cancer cells have the ability to break down and spread throughout the body. So the carcinoma in situ is the full thickness of the epithelium involved by the atypical cells, or carcinoma confined to layers above the basement membrane. So the grades of dysplasia are depending on the thickness of squamous epithelium involved by the atypical cells. The dysplasia is graded as mild, moderate and severe. So the severe dysplasia is not clearly demarcated from carcinoma in situ. So the well accepted statement is that invasive cervical cancer evolves through the stages of dysplasia and carcinoma in situ. So the alternative classifications are CIN, cervical intraepithelial neoplasia. So the grades of dysplasia and carcinoma in situ are graded into grade 1 to grade 3. CIN 1, where there is less than 1/3 involvement of thickness of epithelium. So it is mild dysplasia. CIN 2, there is 1/3 to 2/3 involvement of thickness of epithelium. It is moderate dysplasia. CIN3 is of full thickness involvement or equivalent to carcinoma cancer. So it is of severe. So NCI, which means National Cancer Institute of US, it has proposed TBS. TBS means the Bethesda system for reporting cervical and vaginal cytopathology. This took into consideration the high risk and low risk type of HPV, human papilloma virus. So it is classified into two grades of SIL, squamous intraepithelial lesions. So the two grades are LSIL, which mean low grade SIL, HSIL, which mean high grade SIL. So low grade is similar to CIN1. There will be flat condyloma with coelocystic atypia. So it is related to low risk HPV. 6 and 11 infections are seen. So this is mild HPV infection. 10% cases may prolong to high grade. And the high grade is similar to CIN2 and 3, abnormal pleomorphic atypical squamous cells with the high risk of 16 and 18 infection. So this is moderate, severe and may progress into carcinoma in situ. Only 10% cases progress into cancer in a period of 2 years. So these grades helps early detection by Papa-Nicolau cytologic test, which means Pap smear test. So the Pap smear test is followed by colposcopy directed biopsy that confirms the diagnosis of cervical cancer in an early stage. Can develop at any age, but it is very rare in puberty. There is low risk SIL which occurs in 25 to 30 years of age, and this progresses to high risk a decade later. So the morphologic features are no specific change is seen and the change begins at the squamo-columnar junction and transitional zone of uterine cervix. It is diagnosed clinically on the basis of Schiller's test. Histologically, the morphologic features are dysplastic cells or into the layers of squamous epithelium with varying thickness. The cells migrate to the surface layers from where they exfoliate into the vaginal secretions. This is diagnosed in Pap smear test. So the dysplastic cells, cytologic changes are crowding of cells, pleomorphism, high nucleocytoplasmic ratio, irregular nuclear chromatin, numerous mitosis and the scattered dyskaryotic cells. So the diagnosis of CIN or SIL is best done with exfoliative cytologic studies. So the degree of atypicality of these cells graded on the basis of, so there will be more nuclear dyskaryotic changes like increased hyperchromasia and nuclear membrane foldings. Decreased cytoplasmic maturation in low grades like CIN1 and LSIL. There is superficial and intermediate cells getting shed off, and in CIN3 and HSIL, desquamated cells are small and dark basal cells. So the lesions of SIL have histologic correlation with colposcopy directed cervical biopsy. This correlation is mainly seen in 70 to 90% cases. So this is the diagrammatic picture of exfoliative cytologic changes. The first shows the normal cell. In second we can see pleomorphic nucleus, and in CIN2, that is high risk, there will be altered nucleic and cytoplasmic ratio. And in last we can see enlarged and irregular nuclei with abnormal shape and size. So here is the difference between metaplasia and dysplasia. The definition is: metaplasia is the change of one type of epithelial or mesenchymal cells to another type of adult epithelial or mesenchymal cell. Dysplasia is the disordered cellular development which may be accompanied with hyperplasia or metaplasia. So the types are epithelial, which may be of squamous or columnar, and mesenchymal, which is of osseous or cartilaginous. Dysplasia is of epithelial type only. So the tissues affected are bronchial mucosa, uterine endocervix, other mesenchymal tissues like cartilage, arteries. Dysplasia, it affects uterine cervix, bronchial mucosa. Cellular changes or mature cellular development is seen in metaplasia, whereas disordered cellular development is seen in dysplasia, like pleomorphism, nuclear hyperchromasia, mitosis, loss of polarity. Natural history, it is reversible on withdrawal of stimulus, whereas dysplasia, it may regress on removal of stimulus or may progress to high grade of dysplasia or carcinoma insitu. So guys, this comes to the end of cellular adaptations. Let me tell some frequently asked questions. They'll be asking you in short answers or short essays like define atrophy, define hyperplasia, define hypertrophy. So in this way they'll be asking you. I hope you can answer all these questions. Coming up with many interesting topics. Please don't forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel. Thank you.